What's up YouTube, this is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. If you've been watching my channel, 1, I appreciate you, and 2, you might have noticed that I've talked about The Silence of the Lambs during the month of October. However, YouTube gave me a difficult time with its upload. Also, I had less experience with my audio settings. Hopefully this will sound better, and with that, on to the review.
You wake up in the dark and hear the screaming of the lamb.
The Silence of the Lambs, based on a novel by Thomas Harris in 1988, directed by Jonathan Demme, released on Valentine's Day, 1991, a romantic film to take the loved one 30 years ago today, written by Ted Tolley and stars Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins. This was the third and final time where a film won what is called the Big Five, which is where a film wins the Oscars for the 5 major categories for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor and Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay. The other 2 times were for 1934's It Happened One Night and 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This review will contain spoilers as I don't believe I can do justice to the film without spoiling it, so there's a warning. Jodie Foster plays Clarice Starling, a young FBI trainee that is at the top of her class. She isn't the best physically, but she excels at criminal psychology. She's a relatable underdog character that we root for as she is given the task to apprehend the serial killer Buffalo Bill, who kidnaps and partially skins women across the Midwest. And there's this race against time element where there is a girl kidnapped and we have to catch the psychopath before it's too late. I will get more into Buffalo Bill later. In order to create a psychological profile, she has to go and seek the advice from the imprisoned psychiatrist, Dr. Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter. What I love about this opening minutes of the film is that we are given the description of Hannibal Lecter as a ruthless, most savage individual.
Just do your job, but never forget what he is.
Oh, he's a monster. Pure psychopath. So rare to capture one alive. From a research point of view, Lecter is our most prized asset.
The whole travel to the basement while describing the horrible things we heard about Hannibal Lecter, we get this mental image of some deranged monster as we go through many gates imagining how dangerous this person can be. As Clarice walks through the hallway, we are introduced to 3 other patients, each of them becoming more and more deranged, with the third one moving around like a monkey. It's like you expect Killer Croc to be the last inmate, but we are shown a man who is very sophisticated, very intelligent, and seems like he's very sane compared to the other 3 inmates. It isn't until conversations with Clarice is when we learn that he is very manipulative and confirms the stories that we've heard about him. Anthony Hopkins plays Dr. Hannibal Lecter. He was only in the movie for 16 minutes, enough to win Best Actor. Every scene between Hopkins and Foster were amazing to watch. Apparently, according to Foster, she never spoke to Hopkins outside of the scenes as she was terrified of his character.
Did you never speak to Anthony Hopkins?
No, never spoke to him. He was scary.
But you never passed it backstage in a corridor?
No, I avoided him.
I can't blame Jodie as Hopkins delivered one of, if not the greatest, performance as a villain in cinema. What makes this film different compared to others is that Dr. Lecter is not the primary villain, but more of the creepy antagonist that goes toe-to-toe with the protagonist, Clarice, through the battles of wit and clever dialogue. What drives Lecter is not driven by his own emotions or humanity. It is the study of those around him, like the psychiatrist he once was. You can't get a read on him because he's too busy reading you. A cool detail in the film was that Hopkins tried to blink as minimal as possible, so he could build more of the creepiness factor to Dr. Lecter. A stat says that he only blinked 19 times within the 16 minutes of screen time. I appreciate the less is more aspect of Lecter, as we don't need to know a reason for what made him tick, what made him into the cannibalistic gentleman that he is, because that's not the point of the film. Lecter doesn't make the experience for Clarice easy, as he does help her with the case, only through the use of cryptic messages, like when he tells her to look inside yourself and find Miss Moffat, with yourself not being in the figurative sense, like look in your heart, but the name of an actual storage facility in Baltimore with the unit name Moffat. Once one of the victims is identified with the moth chrysalis in her mouth, Clarice goes back to Lecter with the case file on Buffalo Bill, and she says that he will be transferred to another facility, and he can spend 1 week on a deserted island to do whatever he wants, so as long as he could help with the arrest. Lecter says he will do his part until Clarice tells him something about herself. This was the one rule that Crawford told Clarice not to do, but I believe she had to break it because Clarice had been successful with her communications to Lecter compared to other psychologists like Chilton, who were not able to get through to him. This sort of unorthodox behavior is what gives her the advantage over Lecter. Lecter gives her the name Louise Friend, which Clarice was able to deduce that it's an anagram for iron sulfide, aka fool's gold. Chilton overhears the bluff from Clarice, and he promises Lecter that he will do the deeds if he could identify the identity of Buffalo Bill. With all of this, Lecter is only interested in Chilton's pen. The calculated aspect of the character really shines as he is just waiting for someone to mess up so that he can exploit it down the line. He is sent to Tennessee with the iconic muzzle and gives a bunch of false information on Bill, as this is exactly what he wants, the opportunity of what is to come. The final confrontation between Clarice and Lecter in the cell is the best one in my opinion, with the overall motivation of Bill is through coveting.
And how do we begin to covet, Clarice? Do we seek out things to covet?
Through the continued discussion on the death of Clarice's father and how she wanted to free a lamb from being slaughtered, this final exchange is a way to show the overall point of the film, which is not about Lecter and Bill, it's about Clarice and how she's dealing with the trauma and anxiety. With a part of Chilton's pen in his hand, the guard serves him lamb chops, how fitting, and Lecter is able to free himself. It's probably weird that I guess rooted for Hannibal Lecter when he escaped his cell. Does that make me crazy? That's for you to decide. With all of that, let's get on to the other main character of the film.
Put the fucking lotion in the basket!
Buffalo Bill, played by Ted Levine, is the main villain of the film. What makes him different compared to Hannibal Lecter is that Dr. Lecter is based around his intellect and mannerisms that creates a false sense of who he really is. Buffalo Bill is the creepy, psychotic monster of a person, the nightmare and the horror story that makes your skin crawl in The Silence of the Lambs. The character was influenced by real serial killers, Jerry Brudos, who would wear the victim's clothes, Ed Gein, who would make female skin suits, Ted Bundy, who would fake injuries to get victims to help him until he killed them, Jerry Heidnick, who would keep women in a pit, Edmund Kemper, who killed his grandparents just for the experience, Jerry Ridgway, who dumped women's bodies in the river with the insertion of foreign objects, and Alfred Trevino, who decapitated a close one. Fun fact, the story of The Silence of the Lambs is based on the fact that Ted Bundy, while incarcerated, helped catch Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer. After some detective work, Clarice was able to deduce that Buffalo Bill was in Illinois and that he was creating a female skin suit. Also, just to quickly go into the scene, I appreciate how the film portrays a strong female lead without bashing men. She figured out to look in the music box, which seemed to come from personal experience, something that I don't believe a male investigator would do. Just a strong, compelling female character instead of trash like The Kitchen. Shout out to the critical drinker. Back to something good. There's a cool twist where the cops ring the doorbell to the house, they show Bill's alarm, and Clarice is the one at the door, and the cops were at an empty house. This gave a sense of relief, then a sense of danger, as Clarice is with the man she has not confirmed if he's Buffalo Bill. The climax of the film, where Buffalo Bill is staring at Clarice through the night vision goggles, and you can see Clarice is helpless as she cannot see anything around her. It isn't until he cocks his gun is when Clarice shoots him, connecting back to her father, as she was killed by a robber when his back was turned, and she was able to overcome that trauma to overcome herself. What makes the movie unique to me is that Demi is able to make tropes of a woman running through a forest from what could be of some impending danger, or the same woman desperately trying to open her car in the dark, are examples of scenes that would be found in horror movies, as they would be seen as horror movie tropes, when in reality, Clarice is running in the woods as a part of her workout routine, and she is searching the car for evidence for her case. The multitude of layers upon layers is what makes this film so captivating to watch, as this 118-minute runtime just goes by quickly, that leaves you intrigued with all elements long after the film is over. The last line of the film is just terrifying to think about.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
A lot of horror movies have the hero dealing with the monster that is present. However, the monster is disguised as a sophisticated gentleman, which creates a cognitive dissonance. Hannibal Lecter is the monster that is human, and Buffalo Bill is human that is a monster. Let me know in the comments down below on what you thought about The Silence of the Lambs. Also, be sure to check my other anniversary reviews found in the playlist by clicking the card. If you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can support my channel by clicking the like button, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.